Deacon Joseph to come forward to do our invocation. Is he here? Well, he can't come up if he's not here, can he? So we'll move on. I'm sorry. Oh, he's coming. I'm sorry, sir. You know, I saw a gentleman in black back there. I figured it was you.
Well, I'm hard of hearing too, so.
Oh, and if I spoke into the mic, it might help.
You have to yell at me like at home, you know. I'm used to it. Thank you, by the way.
Oh, please.
If we could take a moment and place ourselves in the presence of the Lord. Good and gracious God, we humbly gather before you as your earthly servants, offering thanks and praise for your great glory. We thank you for your gentle reminder that we do not control all things in our lives, most notably the recent record low temperatures and snow that is quite surprising this early in our winter season. We pray that you send your gift of wisdom, understanding, and knowledge upon the leadership of our village, so that they may strive to make good, just, and fair decisions for all residents of our village. We ask you to bless and protect our first responders as they risk their lives every day to protect and serve all of us. And finally, we pray that you bless the men and women who serve in our armed forces, both at home and overseas. We ask all this in the name of your Son, our Lord Jesus Christ, who lives and reigns with you in the Holy Spirit, one God, forever and ever. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Deacon Joseph. And now could I ask everyone to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, our clerk has been going and clocking some hours, getting even more educated than she is. And she said, Mayor, when you do the consent agenda, you have to let everyone know the items that are in it. So, we're going to hopefully
If you can,
approve.
before you do that, I'm going to use my knowledge again. We need to do
no.
roll call.
Oh, why would you do that?
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Here.
Trustee Horn?
Here.
Trustee Razik?
Present.
Trustee Wilson?
Present.
Trustee Udris?
Here.
Okay, and now we'll go to open to the public. Agenda items only. If you have something you'd like to talk about that's on the agenda, please come forward.
Norb Snow, Gulf Vista. I'm going to start off by reading a letter from a member of the Board of Directors of the Chicago Southland Convention and Visitors Bureau. I'm hopeful that the board will require the developer to engage a golf course maintenance firm that the village can agree to. It is clear their present firm does not know anything about golf courses. All mowing should be north and south as you stand on the tee box looking at the green. The rough should be cut higher than the fairway. I've never seen a course anywhere in the world, either live or on TV, that is being maintained like Gulf Vista, an eyesore I've stayed away from for the last 5 years. Now to my comments. Kind of a recap of the last meeting. Trees. It was reported by management to us that 300 trees were cut down in 2017 and 18. Replanting was supposed to start in 2019, 0 planted. It was mentioned ELS will start in 2020. That'll probably be 89 trees in front of the new homes. Right now, I wouldn't want to live on a golf course, especially on hole number 1, where there are no trees for the last 100 yards to protect somebody in their backyard from errant golf balls. The golf course, I've not played it for 5 years. The greens are that bad. I was told by management that the greens would be aerated, sanded, seeded, fertilized at the end of 2018, then the spring of 2019. Still not done properly. It was mentioned that management spent 6 figures on the golf course last year. What they did not mention is that they get $250,000 plus each month from lot rents. So we do expect something for our money. New homes. It was stated that the rental rate is below 10%, and also we're not in the market to rent. I counted 19 new homes in the community. 4 were for sale, and 1 is being assembled. That leaves 14 sold. Actuality, 9 of those are being rented. That's 64% rental on new homes. ELS can move new homes in almost overnight, but it takes a long time to accomplish anything that the residents want. In other words, the entrance light from Court Street took years to get fixed. The sprinkler system not working for 6 years properly. The golf course in bad shape for 6 years. Trees not replanted. And lastly, I had to post a picture of my car in a huge pothole on Facebook before it was repaired. That was after 2 years of complaining. End of comments.
Thank you very much, Norb. Anyone else for open to the public, agenda items only? If not, we'll now move into the consent agenda. And I'll list the items we're going to, that are on the consent agenda. The minutes of the regular board meeting of 10/23, payroll ending 10/12, payroll ending 10/26, and then it says bills. So with that in mind, could I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion. Second.
Second, any discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Razick?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
At this time, I'd like to, so we don't delay them anymore, they have school tomorrow and what have you, I'd like to call the Mavericks up front here, if you could. The football team and coaches. Who's got the proclamation? Don't be embarrassed, guys. Come on up here. We'll be asking you to get together, too, so we can take a picture, okay? I'd like to announce, if I may, for you, this is the juniors, right?
No, varsity.
Varsity, I mean, okay. And they won the Super Bowl, correctly?
Correct.
That this is probably how many years in a row?
This is our repeat year. We won, last year was our first time ever, and this year, back-to-back undefeated years.
Very good. Well, congratulations. And our lawyer has a proclamation he'd like to read.
Thank you, Mayor. A proclamation acknowledging the success of the Moni Mavericks football team. Whereas the children of the village of Monee have been afforded the opportunity to participate in several activities, including the youth football team known as the Moni Mavericks. Whereas the Moni Mavericks consist of 4 dynamic teams, namely the Super Lightweight Moni Mavericks, the Moni Lightweight Mavericks, the Moni Mavericks Junior Varsity, and the Moni Mavericks Varsity team, along with a top-notch cheerleading team. Whereas with the help and guidance of a dedicated coaching staff of the Moni Mavericks, these teams participate in the Illinois Valley Youth Tackle Football League. Whereas all the children who participate in the Moni Mavericks program make the village residents and officials proud every year. Whereas special congratulations go out to the Moni Mavericks varsity team and their staff. Whereas the Moni Mavericks earned the right to participate in the Ivy League Super Bowl against the Morris Chiefs. Whereas the Moni Mavericks varsity squad was victorious over the Morris Chiefs by the score of 31-0. Whereas, as in the past, this contest was well attended by all family members and supporters, which showed local pride and commitment by all. Whereas our athletes displayed character, skill, sportsmanship, not only during the Super Bowl, but throughout the entire season. Whereas our heartfelt congratulations are extended to all our athletes and cheerleaders. Whereas congratulations are also to the coaches and volunteers who, without their sacrifice and commitment, none of these accomplishments would be possible. Whereas, last but not least, congratulations are in order to the parents of these fine young children for their continued guidance and support. Whereas, we would like to extend our congratulations to the Morris Chiefs also on a very successful season. Now therefore be it proclaimed by Mayor James Pop and the Monee Board of Trustees proudly congratulate all the members of the Monee Mavericks football team and especially our Monee Mavericks varsity team. The village officials also want to recognize the efforts and sacrifice of the coaching staff, the parents, the volunteers, and all their supporters. All of you make Monee extremely proud. We wish you continued good luck on your accomplishments on and off the field. As a mayor and on behalf of the Board of Trustees, we want to make this an annual tradition by proclaiming your success. Approved and adopted this 13th day of November, 2019.
Fellas, would you please remain there for a moment? Trustee Wilson, I'd like you to go up there and shake all our hands. He's our Parks and Recs liaison for football, and I'm going to come up there too.
Congratulations, guys.
We didn't sign it yet, but. Pardon me?
We can have everybody turn this way so I can take a picture. And if parents want to come up and take a picture, you can. You're going to face this way. Let's get this out. Here, hold on. Yep, I'm waiting. Let me get your coat. Never come on here. Get stuck. I'm trying to shut myself. All right. Can you see me? If you can't see me, you're not. There you go.
Can't hear
I
you.
don't see Carrie Lynn.
She's not here yet.
Okay,
You can do that anytime when she comes in.
sure. Okay, we'll move on to the clerk's report. Denisha.
Thank you, Mayor Pop. Really quick, I just wanted to let everyone know, not sure if the residents are aware that we do have a Notify Me system. Of course, we post everything and have all the different, avenues in which we post online as well as in the front of the Village Hall. However, if you'd like to be notified of different things, you can just go onto the village website. That's villageofmonee.org. You scroll down to where it says Notify Me, and when you click there, it'll tell you to put in an email address, and you can, of course, select, or text message, and you can select what you'd like to be notified for, so you're not bombarded with everything, but you can be selected for, or you can select exactly what it is you'd like to be notified about, so you have more communication. End of report.
Thank you very much, Denisha. We're hopefully, for a short time, we're going to go out of the normal format of the agenda and go into executive session. So I need a motion to go to, go ahead, Larry. Oh, yes. For collective bargaining services, 5 ILCS 120/2, C2.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
I'll second.
Any discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Horn? Trustee Razick?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
I want to apologize for this. I know you didn't expect it, but it shouldn't be long. Thank you very much. Going to go back into open session, please.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Okay, a motion is second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn? Trustee Razick?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
And again, I want to say thanks for being patient with us. We had some pretty important business to go over. Okay, so we'll move along here, and the mayor's report. I had called all of yous up to get a kind of a consensus on this support of the mayor of Crete to have a, he wants to get on House Bill 3933, which puts him in a spot to possibly have a casino or a race casino at Balmoral Park, which would enhance the whole area around here if this happened. So I believe the board gave me an okay on it, and we're looking for an approval to get this litter out. Is there any discussion on this?
I will make a comment on this. I would take issue with the idea that a casino or racino is an economic generator. If you look at various areas where casinos have grown, sprouted up, like in Joliet, Joliet is still undeveloped pretty much, except for that casino. That's only one example. I could go further examples, but I would say exactly the opposite, that a casino is not an economic generator. In fact, even when Balmoral was open, there was no businesses within, the only business that was within a mile of that facility is a small liquor store. There's no restaurants, there's no hotels within at least 3 miles of where Balmoral is. So I would take exception to that.
I'd like to comment and make a couple questions, too, that I think I said to you on the phone the other day, too. I wondered if Mayor Einhorn already has a business plan and a project to propose to the state. Are they moving along with that?
Absolutely.
Do they already
David?
have one to propose to the state?
Yes, they have.
And the other question I had is about Hits Chicago that owns that park now. Are they selling? Are they willing to sell, or are they going to keep ownership?
That transaction has taken place. They're no longer owners.
They're no longer owners. And I would say, too, that two other things that I'm concerned about. I think a little contrary to what Doug is saying, that I know there are plenty of now restaurants and things in downtown Crete to kind of help along the business, that will be coming towards that thing. But my concern, and still will remain, I know we have over $2.something billion of road improvements that the state is. I want to make sure that Eastern Will County traffic is included in the governor's plan and make sure that our rural highways are safe, for obvious reasons.
You want to say something?
Yeah, if I may,
Go ahead.
before any further discussion, a motion should be made to authorize the mayor to sign on behalf of the village, then discussion. But if there's any more discussion, the motion should be on a record.
Thank you, Larry. Could I have a motion on this, please?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a
I'll second that.
Second, okay, discussion. Thank you, Larry. Protocol. Is there any other comments anyone has? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes. No,
Tru-
I'm sorry. No.
Trustee Razick?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Okay. We will move on to, is Bill here?
Yes. No.
I would like to
Yes, no.
ask Bill to come forward. Bill Gray.
Come on down.
If you want to stop chatting, you know.
Now, Bill Gray, I had an opening on the, I have an opening on the planning and zoning, and Bill pretty much immediately called me and asked that he could be on that. And I know Bill for years, and I agreed with him. It is my appointment, but it is with board approval after I bring this up. I don't know if you have any questions for Bill. If you do, now would be the time. Oh, I'm sorry. Could I have a motion to, this would be to approve Bill for planning and zoning.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay. Now, any questions anybody has, discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Razick?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Oh, Bill, you're on P and Z. You have to be sworn in now.
And I'm sorry, I'm underdressed apparently, but we'll get over that tonight.
If you can please raise your right hand, insert your name after I say aye.
I, William Gray,
Having been duly appointed
have been duly appointed
to the Planning and Zoning Commission
to the Planning and Zoning Commission
for the Village of Monee,
for the Village of Monee,
County of Will,
County of Will,
State of Illinois,
State of Illinois,
after said,
after said,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duty
and I will faithfully discharge the duty
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
There you go. You can sign this one.
Let her finish up, because she has to take notes. Oh. You wanted to say something? Absolutely. Okay, we'll move on to, I have on here to cancel the December 25th board meeting. I don't think I'll have much problem with that one. Could I have a motion on that, please?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Second. Any discussion?
Nope.
If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Razick?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Thank you, board. Okay, we'll move on to the administrator's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Board. Item H1 on your agenda is the IDOT resolution for the purchase of bulk salt. Attached, you will find a resolution authorizing the Village of Monee to purchase bulk road salt for the current fiscal year in the amount of $43,902 by using motor fuel tax dollars. Should be noted that Central Management Services product cost has increased 10% over last year. A copy of the CMS information sheet along with the resolution are attached for your review. Motion, that the action requested this evening is a motion to pass the resolution authorizing the expenditure of motor fuel tax dollars in the amount of $43,902 for the purchase of bulk road salt for fiscal year 2020.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Second. Any discussion on that? And, okay. Roll call, please.
Trustee Razick?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Resolution number 2019-4.
Thank you. Item H2 on the agenda is a rebuild letter request for 26031 South Oak Road. Attached, you have a letter requesting authorization from the village board to rebuild a legal, non-conforming building or use at 26031 South Oak Road, should it be destroyed beyond 50%. Currently, the structure is a two-family dwelling located in a C1 commercial zoning district. This block area consists of C1 commercial zoning, R2 multiple family zoning, and M1 light industrial zoning consisting of just 4 lots. This block area is mainly R2 multiple family zoning and C1 commercial zoning. The section of the zoning map showing this location is included for your review. As the existing use has been in existence for an extended period of time, it would be in the best interest of the municipality to allow the multiple family use to rebuild should it be destroyed greater than 50%. As zoning administrator, that is the recommendation that in issuance of a rebuild letter for 26031 South Oak Road to be issued for its current use. So the action this evening that is being requested is a motion to authorize the administrator to issue a rebuild letter for 26031 South Oak Road.
Can I have a motion on that, please?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Yes, I'll second it.
Any discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Razik?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Item H3 on the agenda is a letter authorizing withdrawal from Laraway Communications Center. The Village of Monee has been participating as a member of the Laraway Communications Center, which provides dispatch services for the Monee Police Department. State of Illinois reduced the number of 911 centers allowed in the state, thus forcing Eastcom, which is our former dispatch center, to consolidate into what is now known as Laraway Communications Center. LCC is located in a new county-owned facility which also houses the Will County Sheriff's Department. The employees of LCC are county employees covered under a collective bargaining agreement. The county negotiates the contract agreement, and the member agencies of LCC pay the rates. Additionally, under the agreement to house LCC, a payment in the amount of $1,445,000 is to be paid to the county interest-free over 20 years. Currently, if a member agency desires to withdraw from Laraway Communications Center, there is no charge for future payments of that amount. However, there are proposed bylaw changes that would require any member who withdraws from Laraway Communications Center to pay their share of the outstanding amount owed to the county in full upon the date of withdrawal. Therefore, I am requesting authorization to send a letter to Laraway Communications Center indicating Monee's intent to withdraw from the center. This letter does not mean Monee would have to withdraw. It just gives the Monee time to explore other options. The reason Monee would consider withdrawing from Laraway Communications Center is due to operational concerns that have been taking place since the inception of the center and can be attributed to a less than desirable level of service for our residents. Therefore, the action requested this evening is a motion authorizing the village administrator to submit a letter to Laraway Communications Center indicating the intent of Monee to withdraw its membership in the same.
I'll make that motion.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this?
Yeah, I have a question for the attorney. So do we have any recourse in going back to LCC to recoup any of the money that we've lost or the poor level of service?
I would have to check the agreement. There's probably indemnification, though, in that agreement, so I sort of doubt it. But I would look into it, but it's hard to sue another governmental entity on lack of service. But I'll be glad to look into it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other discussion?
If we do decide indeed to remove ourselves from the LCC, what other groups might we align with?
That's a very good question. There are other dispatch centers located within Will County, such as Plainfield Dispatch Center, Romeoville, things of that nature. And we all know that radio can be transmitted from virtually anywhere in the world, as well as telephone calls received virtually anywhere in the world. So therefore, there are a lot of options to explore, and that's the intent of this letter, to give us those options.
Is it an option that we can reform with local municipalities such as Crete, Beecher, Peatone, if possible? I know the last governor, he was into the consolidation, and that's why we're in this right now.
The answer to that is no. There's no option at this time that would allow the creation of a new center.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other communities around us that are doing the same thing?
Yes, there are. I believe that I spoke with the fire chief today. I believe that the Fire Protection District of Monee is going to pen a letter, as well as the Village of Crete. I will confirm with the Village of Beecher tomorrow. So there is some movement afoot to send a signal. I will say that there are leadership elections that are coming up at the Laraway Communications Center for the Board of Directors, the Executive Board, and that's always an opportunity to improve relations and operations. So that too is something that will be looked at. The main thing is that we, or at least on behalf of the village, I didn't want the village to give up the opportunity to leave and be encumbered with their share of that payment if the bylaws pass at this next meeting. That's the true intent of this.
So is this something us, the village, you are exploring, or is this something that somebody outside is looking for us, like a consultant of some sort?
No, the exploration of a potential moving to a different dispatch center is done individually or collectively, like we might partner up with the Fire Protection District because we have similar concerns. You know, we serve many of the same residents, things of that nature. So there's a lot of communication between existing communities.
Excellent.
On the east side here.
Excellent.
Since,
Go ahead,
if I may,
Michael.
since going to Laraway, have our response times suffered?
I would have to defer to Sergeant Lazzaroni or the chief, but some things that I believe that maybe even some board members can attest to is there are 911 calls that have gone unanswered totally. There's some concerns that many of the agencies have with the actual construction of the center itself, with regards to backup power, backup telephone service, things of that nature, which is critical. If one goes out, our residents need somewhere to call. So those have been some major concerns raised over the years.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, a roll call to approve this, please.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn? Yes. Trustee Razick?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Thank you very much. And one item that I'd like to report on that is not on the agenda is CMAP had their meeting today, and during that meeting, the village of Monee was a recipient of a grant for our comprehensive plan.
Oh, how awesome.
And that contract was awarded to Gink Go Planning and Design. So forthcoming, we will have an intergovernmental agreement that will come before this board, but I've been informed that we will probably start the process before the intergovernmental agreement,
Oh, that's
as
exciting.
soon as the next 2 weeks.
Oh, how awesome.
So that's very good news
Yeah,
for
it's
us.
really good news.
That concludes my report. Thank you.
I'd like to say thank you to Mr. Wallace and his administration, because I know that was a lot of work and a lot of paper to follow, and certainly you worked very hard on that. Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll move on to the officials' report. Public Works, Trustee Horn.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. In case you didn't know or notice, we had a significant snowfall on Veterans Day, Monday, November 11th. There's two relevant ordinances that people should be aware of. There would be no parking on streets after a 2-inch snowfall. And the second one would be no depositing snow or ice upon public roadways. That would be using a snow blower or shoveling snow onto the street, as well as plowing snow from a driveway onto the street. Now, the other thing that's going on is we do have some road work we're trying to finish up, believe it or not, specifically over on, I guess would be East Main Street. There's some storm ditching maintenance going on, and hopefully we will get a warm-up that we can finish that this year. If not, that will be continued in the spring. End of report.
Thank you, Trustee Horn. Parks and Recs, Trustee Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, currently, the senior Medicare presentation is taking place across the way at Parks and Rec Building until 8 o'clock tonight. Senior luncheon, November 22nd and December 13th, will be taking place from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Christmas tree lighting ceremony. I know you're all excited. Last year was a wonderful event, and I encourage families to come. It's a great time to get together with other residents and have some hot chocolate cookies and a little refreshments across the street. And then we come over here and for the tree lighting ceremony. So that'll be an awesome time. December 7th, 5 p.m. Congratulations again to the Moni Mavericks varsity team and their accomplishments and the whole organization for exemplary year. Also, the American Legion Auxiliary was formally received this, actually yesterday. So that was a monumental historical event to have that chapter formally inducted into the American Legion, the auxiliary program. So looking for members also for the American Legion and also the auxiliary. So you can also contact myself or look on the Facebook webpage or the website for Monee for any additional events or any kind of updates that will be taking place. So appreciate everybody's participation in those events, and Diana for making those things happen. It takes a lot of time and effort and volunteerism to make those events successful, and also for those who actually participate. Can always use volunteers.
For sure.
End of report.
Thank you. Move on to Finance, Trustee
Thank
Blue.
you, Mr. Mayor. I've got a lot to talk about tonight, so buckle up.
That's enough.
As you may recall, we did have a Finance Committee meeting on November 5th. The Finance Committee meeting was to talk about whether or not we should raise the levy. We did highlight some things to the committee and any of the members of the public that were here. Some of those highlights were that our 1% sales tax has surpassed budget revenue. Our home rule sales tax has also surpassed budgeted revenue, and our general expenses are about where they need to be. There should be 42%. They're slightly higher, but that's because we pay some bills in the beginning of the year, and then there's nothing to pay at the end of it. So very healthy report there. So we did a consensus on the Finance Committee, and the consensus was to recommend to the board not to raise the levy at all for this next fiscal year. So I would like a motion from someone to, or can I do that? Can I make a motion? Yes, I'd like to make a motion to the board to not raise the levy for the next fiscal year.
I will second that.
I'll third that, whatever.
Any discussion on the motion?
If I may, we'll have to authorize myself to draft the ordinance.
Of course, yeah.
It's got to be filed by the last Tuesday of December.
Mhm.
So December 11th.
11th, December 11th,
December
yeah.
11th to be ready for the board
Okay.
review, based on your recommendation.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Raisik?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Utris?
Yes.
Thank you. There is something I did want to raise from our discussions at the Finance Committee, only because as we've now seen our revenue improve and stabilize, it's certainly stabilized over the last few months, I would like to recommend the Finance Committee either meets or we have a consensus to put it on the agenda next time to assign all of the local fuel tax to our roads and bridges fund. The reason being that obviously we have a huge amount of roads projects coming up, and I would think that would be a really great place to put that local fuel tax. So I would like to ask if I'd like to ask the board if you would want us to have a Finance Committee meeting to discuss that more fully, or would you like me to put it on the agenda for a vote at the December 11th meeting?
Can we do both?
Of course. I mean, if we meet, it'll be on the agenda anyway. So I'm asking if you want a meeting. Does the Finance Committee want a meeting?
Yes.
Yes, that would be, the Finance Committee is Anthony, Scott, and Michael, I believe.
Yes.
Is that yes? Okay, so then we'll have a Finance Committee meeting. I'm going to suggest this coming Monday. Discuss Thanksgiving's coming and it's all going crazy. But I will contact the committee anyway to let you know when that meeting is confirmed. That was all from the finance. I do have a couple of things to talk about on beautification. As you know, we have our new village signs are ordered. They're not in yet, so we can't put them up, but hopefully the weather will be kind to us. We also have rolled out our holiday competition, our holiday decorating competition. I know Trustee Udris is really excited about this, namely because we live on the same street, and the competition is that you name your street something, and there's a holiday competition as to who decorates it the best. So ours is going to be Arctic Trail, right? We agreed that. So if you do want to decorate your street for the holidays, please do pick up a form at the Village Hall. Go onto the website, it's on there as well, villageofmonee.org, and we'd love to generate some great public spirit on that.
Challenge accepted.
Okay.
Daffodil Lane will be Frostiest Lane.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Game on, people, game on.
Very good.
Last but not least, we did have a letter from the Monee Historical Society respectfully requesting that we look at naming the roundabout in honor of one of Monee's most famous sons, Andrew Gunderson. As you may know, the world-renowned artist Andrew Gunderson, he worked in a studio in Monee. He was an artistic genius. At the age of 18 or 19, he was told by the Art Institute, we can't teach you anything, and set up his own studio and began to paint. He painted over 5,000 works. He was in the village from 1915 to 1964 when he retired. And when the Monee Historical Society had their fundraiser, we called them to say, hey, would you have a painting we could auction off? They arrived. 18 members of their family traveled from all over the USA to come to Monee, to come to Gulf Vista Community Hall, to auction off one of their works of art. But it wasn't one. They brought 20 paintings. They donated 20 paintings, original paintings, to Monee Historic Society. They raised several $1,000s that night from just that. And they also brought all sorts of other works of art and personal stuff that they weren't selling, but just to give people who loved Gunderson art an insight to the artist himself. So on behalf of the Monee Historic Society, I would like to ask us to consider a motion at the next board meeting to name the roundabout Gunderson Roundabout. And the reason we're talking about that roundabout is because his house was right there on Court Street, right next to the roundabout. So it just would be awesome to do something like that. Any questions on that one? No. And I think that's it. End of report.
End of report. Thank you, Janet. Okay, we'll move on to building services. You have,
Economic development.
I'm sorry,
Forget me, Jimmy.
Economic Development, Trustee Raisik. Anthony, you got about 30 seconds.
I only have a couple things, so.
Okay.
2 new business licenses have been issued, RC Castings and WZI Wrong, formerly Cliff and Tommy's. And then at this time, I would like to refer to Kevin Daly. He has something to speak on.
Good evening. Tomorrow, the Village of Monee will be one of several communities that will be hosting a delegation of international business representatives. This is, as the village is a member of the Wilcook Enterprise Zone, we participate in Select Chicago, which is a spin-off from Select USA, which comes from the United States Chamber of Commerce. I'm sorry, the United States Department of Commerce. The purpose of this group and this effort is to seek foreign direct investment. The first stop on the tour where the investors or their representatives, these are folks from Greece, Spain, China, Lithuania, Czech Republic, and other places. They'll be taking the Metro Electric line down. A bus will pick them up, and then we will go to Whiting Corporation in Monee as the first stop. We'll hit a number of other places around the region, but it's really exciting. This is a multi-year effort. Last time we had 1 international representative, and this time we have 9. So it's proving that our efforts are bearing fruit. So that's all I have. Thank you.
End of report, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Now we'll go to Building Services, Trustee Uders.
Okay. Wednesday, November 6th, the Monee Chamber of Commerce met over at Frankie's. Some highlights from that meeting: they are up to 47 members. Some of the events that they were highlighting at the meeting that I wanted to bring up first is a reminder that November 16th at 5 p.m., the Monee Fire District is having their turkey raffle. So anybody that would like to come up there for a good evening, come up there and support the fire department. Also, I know this is early, but get it on your calendars. July 18th of next year is going to be the Monee Family Baseball Night. So start thinking about that. This will be the 12th year that the Chamber is running that. And should be a good event. Tickets will be $11 a piece, so keep that in mind. From the Building Services Department, the Building Services has issued a temporary occupancy permit for business operations for Great Western Malting, located at 26051 South Cleveland. Thornton's is moving forward with all phases of their final construction. And let's see, November begins, again, annual business inspections. If you have a business in town and have not scheduled that, please call and make your appointments. In the month of October, Building Services issued a total of 32 building permits with a permit value for the month of October of $399,294. 6 homes went on the market and are scheduled for resale inspections. And the Building Services Department would like to wish all the residents, business owners, and holiday travelers a safe and happy Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is a time to join with family and friends and give thanks. That giving spirit helps make our community a special place to live in. And finally, pursuant to our executive session at the last board meeting, I have a motion to put out there. I'd like to make a motion to approve a one-time stipend of $5,000 to the Building Services Department employee for the additional time that was expended addressing building department issues for last year.
We'll need a motion on that.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
I'll second.
Second? Any discussion?
I would just like to say that she worked really, really hard. I mean, I spoke to her many, many times, and I just felt that she certainly stepped up and made Monee proud.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 young children, and she stepped in, and I have to just say that at a time when we had no head of the department because we lost our department head, and she really helped out. So, okay. So, motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Razik?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
And we'll move on to public safety. Heidi.
A short business tonight. I just wanted to say kudos to the MPD volunteers and the great support from the citizens of Monee for raising $2,000 for Special Olympics on the November 2 Tip-A-Cop held at Shoops. And a special, it said it really was really challenged MPD's table waiting skill set, and thanks to everybody at Shoops who tolerated us and guided us for a very busy day. Great job by all. And as Detective Lazzaroni has told me, it's nearly $9,000 raised this year for Special Olympics from our police department. So thank you guys and gals for everything for that. Just also wanted to make mention too of the turkey raffle this coming Saturday at Firehouse 1. And then also, not only do we have the Christmas tree lighting on December 7th, but December 6th at the Monee Parks District, Parks Building will be our next Monee Women's Club Blood Drive, along with the police and fire department. So from 2 to 5 p.m. on Friday, December 6th, blood donation saves lives every minute of every day. So if you can give blood, please do. End of report.
Thank you, Heidi. We'll move on to the attorney's report. Larry?
Thank you, Mayor. I got two items for the board's consideration. The first item is an ordinance granting an amendment to a conditional use permit for the development known as Gulf Vista. I know council is present here tonight along with representatives from Gulf Vista and ELS in case there's any further questions. To refresh the board, they made a presentation at the last board meeting as to what improvements are being anticipated at the Gulf Vista subdivision. The ordinance, if I may, I'll highlight it real quick, the changes that they're requesting, that we requested and they've agreed to. If the board recalls, no one's around back then, but ordinance number 744 the board gave approval to this development. They are coming in tonight because they are amending part of it with respect to some phase 7. In return for that, what we've done, we've negotiated this proposed ordinance with respect to the obligations from Gulf Vista, or also known as ELS. They have reiterated their commitment to the village with respect to the age issue that we talked about before, and it's also in ordinance number 744. They are not changing or making a request. In fact, if anything, that ordinance, as far as I'm concerned, is more stringent now than it was in the past. Section 4, they have committed to the village. They recommend the proposed changes they will make to the golf course, which includes stormwater management around the ponds and water features for following weather events, replacing sand in the golf course trap, turf treatments, including application of fertilizer, oversanding, overseeding of golf course greens, renovating the golf course pro shop, and also replacing and removing several trees on the site. They have agreed that this work will be completed in accordance with phase 7. So they will be making progress with respect to the improvements on that golf course. The amount of improvements is significant. I won't say a definite dollar amount because no one knows that, but they did make this commitment, which is different than what the initial ordinance had in ordinance 744. They've also hired V3 to work with Jeff from Robinson with respect to the development plan. I think Jeff has approved the plans with respect to their proposed amendment. They've also agreed to different tap-on fees that were initially proposed in 744, a significant amount coming back to the village, and they've also agreed still to pay the inspection fees, which are significant. That has not changed. If anything, there has been an increase to cover the village cost. They have agreed to a police protection agreement wherein they will patrol, we will patrol Gulf Vista with the right to enforce local ordinances, which is a benefit not only to ourselves but also the residents, of course, in Gulf Vista. They also they owe the village some money based on the number of units being sold in there. They've agreed to make a pro rata distribution to us, so that would mean that we would get paid on a When a permit's issued, we would be paid a definitive dollar amount, as opposed to, in the previous agreement, we would only get paid when they hit a certain number of units. So we're getting the money up front as opposed to the back-ended. They are quitclaiming property that is owed to the village. There's no obligation from our stamp. It's their obligation. They've also agreed to comply with any and all zoning ordinances that are currently in effect. It is up for the board's review and consideration. They are here tonight in case there's any questions, further questions from the board as to what their intentions are. Again, I believe Jeff has reviewed it. He has found the plat to be acceptable, but it is up for the board's review and consideration.
Does anyone have any questions for the people? A motion first, I'm sorry. I have a motion to approve the ordinance 744, the amendment to it.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Very good. Discussion.
I had some questions for their counsel. Hi, good evening. Thanks for coming out, and I want to thank you for coming out 2 weeks ago.
Of course.
So, if this is not passed, for whatever reason, would you still be making, would your company still be committed to making the improvements on the Golf Vista Estates, on the golf course?
These improvements will be part of this next phase that you all are approving. So it's part and parcel of the proposed project, as I understand it.
But if we said no, or we said later on this, said kicked it down the road a piece, would these improvements still take place?
You know, I can confer with our client, but as far as the actual scheduling of this work, it's part and parcel of the expansion of the subdivision. So I would say that they go hand in hand.
The reason I ask this is because, how many units do we have there right now?
A month.
Tricia, can you go on? Sorry, just identify yourself for the record.
Tricia Lombardo with Equity Lifestyle Properties. We have 391 occupied units. We have about 400 units on the ground.
And how many would you like to add?
89.
89. So it seems like you have had a hard time maintaining the 400 and the surrounding property to a degree. Why would you adding 89, would that make any difference?
I don't understand.
My point is the property is not being taken care of right now.
I don't think we would agree with that, but
I think our residents, well, you know, my residents would say otherwise.
that's a fair comment.
Right.
We have I'm not exactly sure how to address that. So there may be some folks who are not happy with the community, but we have a far vast majority who are very happy with the condition of the community and the services and the amenities that are offered and our value proposition at that property. And I think that all goes hand in hand with, we have demand to come in. So we've had vacant lots in that, and we've backfilled almost every vacant lot, which is why we're going on with an expansion project to add more units into our community. So I guess I don't know that we have struggled with maintaining the property from that perspective.
My constituents say the golf course has been virtually unplayable for the last 6 years. Would you agree to that?
Yeah, I would not say that that's true, and I'll say from this perspective. We have a person who manages the golf course for us in our pro shop. Our rounds of golf have quadrupled in the past 2 years. Our resident leagues have increased, our veterans leagues have increased, our Bryans leagues have increased. By and large, we actually are seeing an increase in the usage of that golf course in the past 3 years since I've been here. We know that there have been challenges, and there have been some challenges with the irrigation system and just some other issues that have happened with the golf course, which is why our plan addresses every one of those issues. We've got money allocated to replace the irrigation system, to upgrade the sand traps, to do the fertilizer, the fungicide, the oversanding. All of that is now wrapped into this as we continue to improve that course. But I guess I struggle a little bit with saying that the course is not playable or that we have a lot of complaints about it, because we actually get a lot of compliments. We got a lot of folks who use it on a weekly basis.
Tricia, when you say that you've had some challenges, is that lawyer speak for things have been broken and not working properly?
I will say that does happen, and we also have had actually challenges with vandalism that has occurred on our golf course, and we're not sure how that has happened as frequently as it has, but we've come up with strategies to address that.
Okay. I guess from my perspective, in listening to my constituents, I guess I would like to see these improvements take place starting in the next season, and because they need to be done. And then in September, when those are completed, you come back here, and I will be happy to vote for this.
I have a question also. So I'm just going to speak for myself. I've attempted to play on that golf course many times. My golf is very poor, so I don't have high standards, and I still couldn't play on it because it was unplayable. It was overgrown. There were huge holes on one of the areas, and you couldn't even get your golf cart through it. So I wonder how the people feel who bought the properties because it was at that time a great golf course, and now they're still living in the property and it's not a great golf course. I mean, I wonder how many of those people are actually playing. Maybe the people who've just arrived, or maybe people from outside of the village are playing. I want to play on it. I mean, I need the practice really, but I do want to play on it. But it's unplayable. It's just appalling.
Okay. And I'm sorry, when was the last time you tried to play the course? Was it recent?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Okay, so again, that's just a little bit different than what I'm hearing from other residents and from the person who runs our pro shop. But I will say we do acknowledge that there are some issues. We've had these issues with the irrigation system. We've had some issues with the fungicide and the fertilizer. So the course has been very wet. So this year they struggled with the wetness of the course and trying to get this overseeding to try to get the seed to grow because it was such a wet year this year. I will say that we are making the improvements. We're also improving the drainage to the golf course to make sure that it does drain better so that the improvements we're putting in are sustainable on an ongoing basis. It's in our best interest as well to get the golf course to the best condition that it can possibly be in. I mean, the more people who play it, the more revenue it generates for us and the better it is for our residents, and we want both of those things. But I do know that we had some problems this year, and I'm not going to skirt that issue. And part of it was the weather, the constant rain that we had, and part of it was the irrigation system and the flooding that caused some of the landscape improvements to not take as well as it could have.
Thank you.
So,
Those will be, and again,
Yeah.
those two items in particular that Tricia mentioned, the upgrading of the irrigation system and the modification to the drainage system are part of the scope for this next phase of development.
Right. Thank you.
So just to reiterate to what Doug brought up, so what are the orders in which are the priorities that some are, and you said they're part and parcel, so if this does not pass, that you still won't continue to try to improve that course and what the residents are dealing with that are already there?
No. We'll definitely continue. But I think what he's saying is that part of the construction contract includes that work. So the upgrade of the irrigation system, the replacement of the drainage, getting the holes to drain where we've had some issues with the ponds that have overflowed in heavy storms. That's all part of the project. That's why it's part and parcel, because it's included in V3's contract that's taking place. So it's starting to take place now. They've actually started to move some earth. And the majority of the improvements you're going to see in the spring. So we have to wait until the ground is appropriate for us to do the replacement the sand and the sand traps and upgrading the grass on the greens. That will happen in the spring.
How much of, was in this year's budget to improve that course?
I don't have that. I just don't have it offhand. I don't want to give you an incorrect number. Yeah, we can get that for you.
And then the weather was an issue everywhere too, so I wonder, like our very other nearby courses that were very playable all summer long, I wonder how many of them did or did not have the same fungicide problems or the same drainage problems if it was maintained properly in the last 5 years.
Right. And the drainage was a problem because of between the irrigation system and some obstructions and some of the drainage lines that were in there, coupled with the clay soil that we have at that course, it just caused things to not grow appropriately, and the chemicals didn't work as well as they could have. I don't know that the other courses experienced that if they had any collapsing of their drainage system or if they had any breakage of their irrigation system. I can't speak to that.
The one in Crete was underwater for nearly 4 weeks, and that was playable within 5 days.
Okay.
Do you currently plan to keep I'm sorry, Trustee Wilson, do you currently plan to keep the same groundskeeping company? I believe whoever's cutting the grass are responsible for it because the cuts aren't up to par. I've noticed I played with it in the last 2 months. There's weeds on the greens. Short game you can't do it. It's not playable. The short game's not. While I was there, I was watching the grass being cut. No differentiation in the cuts in the greens, the rough. It was just commercial grade landscaping equipment going over the grass and not detailed cuts or fine cuts or any TLC going to the greens. Is that currently the same company that's going to be maintaining in the future also?
It is, so I guess I'm surprised to hear that there is not a differentiation between the roughs and the greens, because the way that their contract reads, they have equipment that has an adjustable deck on it. So the greens are supposed to be maintained, I think, at 3 inches, and I think the roughs are supposed to be at 4.5. And so there should you should be able to see the difference between those two levels of grass. So if you're not,
if I would, usually that'd be done the same day. What they're doing is spreading it out different weeks or different days. So now it's catching back up. You cut, it grows, and now they're going do the back cuts, and it's already caught up.
Okay.
So there's no differentiation, or very minimal,
Gotcha.
which makes it more difficult to play.
I understand. So operationally, that's something that I need to address with the contractor. So you had asked, is it the same contractor? It is, so we're in the middle of a multi-year contract with that current contractor right now, but what they have offered to do is to bring on a sub-consultant, which is a golf course maintenance contractor, who will consult and provide additional guidance as far as how to adjust the equipment, or if it needs replacement equipment, what we need to do. We do know that we needed to replace the tines on the aerator. So the aerator that we had, the tines were too small. I want to say they were 3/8. They're upgrading, and he told me what the size is. I can't remember exactly what it is, but he's saying that coupled with the oversanding and the overseeding is going to make a world of difference in the course.
And the chemical treatment, I'm pretty sure you've seen and observed the greens and saw the flowers growing up there, so I'm not going to even go into that, but that's, a lot of this didn't happen overnight and is not going to be rectified overnight. Our concern is because it didn't happen overnight, and this was a progression over the years, that it was allowed to slip and deteriorate, brings a concern as it will be, that we would like to see some of these things being implemented prior to us saying, giving the green light fully on this, that we can be vested into it, because from what we've seen over the years, unfortunately, and the feedback we're getting from our constituents, and actually, I want to play there. I like playing there. Knowing that it deteriorated like that, and it was, for lack of a better word, allowed to, or it happened, but now it's being addressed. But we have to have that trust factor again. So that's one of my concerns.
Trustee Wilson, if I could just add one thing.
Sure.
And that's a point well taken, but as the attorney mentioned, your attorney mentioned, this, actually doing these improvements that are in this scope of work is one of the requirements of the ordinance. So if this ordinance were approved, and the expansion of the subdivision were permitted to go forward, that work would have to be done as part of that work. It wouldn't be, it's not optional.
Sure. And just like in the beginning, when the subdivision or went up, it was well-maintained proper, but then over the years, it fell off. Is this going to be a pattern? I'm just hypothetically speaking, is this going to be a pattern? Now we have the next phase going on. It'll be fine for the next couple of years and then taper off. So my concern is consistency, and that's what I'm looking for.
Right. So again, that is part of the ordinance, so we are going to be required to, but on top of that, we just want to be a good landlord as well. We want this course to be playable. As I've said, there have been a number of challenges. Part of it was the emerald ash borer tree infestation that came through, and it kind of devastated the trees in the course. That hurt us, so we spent a lot of the money, like going back and remediating some of the issues that were safety concerns on the property. And maybe that's where things went awry, is in the past several years, some of that budget probably for landscaping and maintenance went toward those types of issues versus specific course maintenance. But now that we know that this is an issue, and it is an issue, but we have seen improvement, so I guess I'm a little bit concerned because our anecdotal data coming back to us is that, hey, things are getting better, guys, thank you. We get a lot of kudos actually on the improvement of the course this year from the various clubs and the residents who are playing the course. But can it be improved? Absolutely, and we've pretty much laid out the guidelines that were recommended to us by a golf course consultant, and that was, the overseeding, the sanding, the fungicide, the replacing the sand and the sand traps, redoing the irrigation system. I mean, we're looking at putting $400,000 into this course as part of this project in order to get it up, I don't want to use up to par, but up to speed, up to the levels that we think that it should be for this property. So we're very confident that the steps that we've outlined here are going to make this a great course.
I just want to remind the board.
I'd like to make a comment if I could as mayor. Let me start with a negative and finish with a very positive, if I may. I know that the golf course, the crew that worked on it for the years prior to them not being there anymore, did a tremendous job. And I wonder if the company you have now, if you even have one on schedule that's going to be doing this year after year, if they are trained in golf courses, the very fact that people that are knowledgeable about golf courses even say that they cut the grass in the wrong direction, believe it or not. Mm-hmm. You're supposed to be cutting the grass on the fairway in the direction the ball's going to go, and they're going sideways. And I golfed on it once and didn't want to golf again because there were anthills, dandelions, just you were allowed to have no more than 3 putts on a green because you never knew where the ball was going. So I'll say that to you, okay? And I would hope that the company you have are trained in golf courses and do the proper job with chemicals and what have you. Mm-hmm. Now the plus. I'm excited about having another 80-something rooftops in this community as mayor. We might finally get something retail here that's badly needed. That's how I'll say that. And I'm excited about that. And I have some, my thoughts are that you're trying to do the right thing. You're not a golf expert at all, okay?
Nor am I even a golfer.
And you did pretty good answering the questions that you could. So I'll just leave it at that. But I would hope that you will get the proper employees for that do golf courses. Anyone else?
One quick question I wanted to ask. Will building services be the ones making sure that these improvements get done? Will they have access and authority to go in there and, make sure as this progresses, as these improvements are done, that they get done, and if they're not done correctly, have a recourse on that?
Is that question in reference to the golf course?
In reference to all of the improvements that we've gone over, not just the golf course, but the replacement of the trees, everything else. who's going to be policing this to make sure that all of these improvements that are laid out here are actually getting taken care of?
If I may, I'll try to address that. The ordinance does allow the village to sue for a breach of contract. This would be, you would sue for monetary damages and what they call equitable relief, which is injunction. So is it specifically spelled out what the penalty would be? No. But the statute and our ordinance indicates that we have the right to sue for a breach of this agreement. That would not take place here, it would be in Joliet. Hopefully that won't transpire, but we do have that right. We had the right when the initial ordinance took place. So you do have the right to seek injunctive relief and monetary damages.
And just one last question, I'm sorry, Tricia. Is there did Jeff do a project scope or timing of the projects and the order in which, I can't see, my glasses aren't on, is he here? If he's here, if the order in which these projects and the priorities that they're going to be taking as the improvements on the land's going to be taking place at the same time or in conjunction with the new lots being built?
So we are attempting to do as much of the earthwork this year. We're going to continue going as hard and fast as we can until it's no longer weather permitting. Again, it's in our best interest to get this project continuing and completed as quickly as possible. Our intent is to be done before June of next year with all of the work, with the golf course work happening as soon as possible in the spring. So I can't really say February or March because we just don't know what the weather's going to throw at us, but it's absolutely a high priority, and the quicker we can get it done, the happier we'll be.
So kind of everything is going to be taking place at the same time?
It is.
Okay.
It is.
Any other questions for them? Thank you very much. Is there anything else you wanted to say?
Just thank you very much, and we would respectfully request your approval.
Am I looking for a motion?
There's a motion already with the first and the second, just to remind everyone.
Okay. So, roll call, please.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
No.
Trustee Razik?
No.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
$19.35.
Thank you, Your Honor. The next item for the board's review and consideration is an ordinance amending Title IX, Chapter 1, Section 6 of the Village Code relative to permit fees. The ordinance spells out a fee that will be assessed for certain ancillary equipment that may be installed in an industrial building. I believe when reviewed by staff, is up to the board's consideration.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Razik?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
1936.
That was J2.
Thank you, Mayor. And one other item, we don't need action tonight, but we discovered there's some real estate the village may be interested in pursuing. It's a small parcel. Can't give out too much more information, we just found out about it. With the board's permission, it'd be a beneficial piece to purchase. It's on, just need, that's okay. Just let the board know if it's okay, I can send a letter of inquiry to see if they're willing to sell it. That's all we're looking to do. No further action taken. Any contract, if it's approved, I get back before the board. But it'd be a nice parcel. So I'll draft something for Mr. Wallace's review. I did talk to council already. No action taken, just notify the board. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Is there any old business? New business? Mays Q House. Is there a representative from there here? Yes.
Mr. Cato.
Hello, hey, Mayor and Mr. Wallace. Hi, I'm Lamar Cato, Mays Q House.
Well, you've had 3 extensions,
I know.
and I don't know how the board feels about a 4th, but I understand there's a date. Why don't you tell us some things?
Well, my representative, he put it in for March, the end of March. We've had some problems with the financing due to being a new startup restaurant, not having,
Mr. Cato, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
The representative put into the end of February.
Oh, February, beginning
Okay.
of March.
I just wanted to
Yeah.
be sure we're on the same page.
Yeah, we are. Well, like I was saying, we had issues with the financing, being a startup. We started another location to build up the reputation so that we could start up in Monee because we needed a place to put the food truck. That became a money pit for us, hurt us financially, which kept pushing us back, trying to build up capital to get us started here. We also fell into a problem with, in doing so, we fell into a problem with just issues with the place we were at. So we had to dump a lot of money into it, which set us back real bad. I do apologize. We're still in this 100%, and we're still trying to make it happen. So, with you guys' consideration, so we're still in the fight.
I have a question for Mr. Cato.
Sure.
The other location, you said you had to dump a lot of money into it. Did you buy that or did you lease it?
We're renting it.
You're leasing it.
Yeah, we're leasing it. The owners of the property didn't want to do any upgrades to the property. And as we kept going, things kept breaking. We're still trying to build the brand. We're trying to get the reputation for the banks so they'll, finance us. But I had to dump tons of money into this. So that set us back, kept setting us back. Clarence, our financial advisor, kept he was advising us and trying to get with these banks to help us. We also got a silent partner to help us with a stronger credit than mine because of the other business hurt mine so bad. But they have no restaurant experience. So the last bank, at the last minute, told us we were good, and then they pulled out.
Okay, thank you.
So where are you now on being able to secure financing?
We have another partner or another plan with some people who have 20 years restaurant experience. We're trying to work something out with them so that we can go in with, well, not them come in with us, so that we can get finished financing because they have the credit and they also have they got 20 years experience in restauranting. So that's what we were lacking. We had this other silent partner. They had the credit, but they just don't have any restaurant experience. And now and I still don't have enough restaurant experience. They still want like 2 years of established business. So that was the issue.
What's your plan then, once you do get open here? Are you going to maintain that second place still?
No.
As soon as you can, you're
I'm out of
closing that and
I'm running. Believe me, I'm running. That thing is as well as we are doing there, it sucked a lot of money into it. We keep our catering is up. Catering number. We just did Crete, the teachers thing in Crete this morning. That's how busy we are. And so we're running on all cylinders, but that thing just pulled us back. That was part of our business plan, to get a structure to show the bank that we can sustain, which we can, but we just hurt my credit so bad trying to keep that place afloat with the food trucks. So that's where we're at.
My question would be, you haven't said anything that can tell me that this can be resolved by the end of February.
Well, that's what I did with the we're working with, we're trying to work with two other people, two other guys who have 20 years experience in restauranting.
But you have no guarantee of it.
I don't have a guarantee. I do not.
right
I can't give you a guarantee on really too much of anything, but that we're trying to get it done.
I just have another question.
Sure.
I'm interested to know about so is it because of the agreement you signed with whoever you leased the property was, that's why whoever owned the property didn't do the maintenance of it? You had to do that yourself?
I had to do all of it. I took that place from, that place was abandoned almost a year and a half. So just imagine.
Right.
It's small, but I had to take and almost regut it, almost.
Right.
And then buy equipment and so forth. And so it's to help facilitate for the food truck. That was the plan.
Right.
But then it's a place, we need to establish the business and so.
Well, we want the business here, sure, speaking as a resident.
And I do apologize. I'm so sorry. I do apologize that it's taken so long, but we are working diligently. I promise you that.
Larry would like to ask you.
Sir, can I ask you one question?
Sure.
Say the board gives you the extension to February or March 1st of next year.
Right.
Do you have a lease on the first property?
We have a lease standard. We started a lease.
How long is the lease?
The lease was going to be a 5-year lease.
I think our concern would be, are you committed to Monee or are you committed to the first site?
No, I'm not committed to the first site at all. That's my whole point. We want to leave the first site. I'm just sunk so deep into it, I can't leave it until I'm into the next place.
Okay. So is your intention to maintain both places?
No, not at all.
Would you be in breach of lease of the first one?
No, because now I'm a month to month.
Okay.
No, so I don't have a contract with them any longer. I did my year with them. We did a year contract.
Okay.
So now I'm month to month to month until we get our new place.
Do you want me to summarize the options?
Sure. Absolutely.
Dave wants to say something.
Just before we get off of that, so I'm unclear on the lease that ties up the redevelopment agreement. You have that in place, it's active now and will be through the term of the redevelopment agreement, that proposed
Well,
term?
that's the other problem. That's the problem. We signed a lease with Paul, but a kind of standardary lease with Paul, the liquor store guy. You understand it? But we haven't taken on occupancy yet, and he wants that rent for the occupancy, and I can't give it to him because I'm so sunk in the other location which I want to come out of. So I'm in a kind of a between a rock and a hard place right now. That's why I gave you guys the letter. You probably all read it and read the last part of both letters and have an understanding of where I'm at with this situation.
Larry,
Do you want- If I may, just for the board's clarification, there's two options the board has presented in front of them. One, technically, the gentleman is in default currently. You would have to declare a default. You send notice of default to the gentleman. He or she has 30 days to cure the default. So at that time, you're looking at like mid to late December. Your other option would be to give Mr. Cato, correct?
Correct.
Mr. Cato, one last extension till March 1st of 2020. That math does wonders, doesn't it? 2020. And in that extension, sir, and to the board, that would be your last extension. And in that extension, if the board deemed appropriate, there'd be no need for a default. We don't have to send you notice. It's that if you don't have everything operational by March 1st, the redevelopment agreement would be null and void.
I understand
And you have no cause against us, we have no cause against you, but that would eliminate your need to come back to the board for the fourth or fifth time, ask for an extension, and secondarily, the board would have to take no further action. If March 1st came around and you weren't operational, this new amendment would indicate, we're done.
Okay, I understand that, and that's only fair, and I'm in agreement with that.
So are you looking for us to make a motion, or what would be the next thing?
Yeah, Yes, ma'am. I think at this time, Mr. Cato has, I think Mr. Horn's got one other question. But Mr. Cato's requesting that extension. If the board deemed appropriate, the extension, if you authorize me to draft it, would be drafted in such a manner, what I just explained to Mr. Cato. This would be it, March 1st, 2020. We're not financially obligated to you until the terms of redevelopment agreement are done. And if you fail to meet that deadline of March 1st, the deal, it's no more notice.
Yes.
I'll send notice to, you still have Mr. Dillner as your attorney?
Correct.
Okay, I'll send notice, and we can notify him, and if the board deemed it appropriate, I would be authorized to draft it in such a manner for the mayor to execute the same.
Lamar, a couple questions for you. Who's Clarence Lewis?
Clarence Lewis, he's my financial advisor.
Is he, does he live in the area?
No, he's from Detroit, but he does a lot of business here with a lot of, well, he's a friend of ours, and he does a lot of business in the area.
But he was, I guess I'm a little surprised that he's not here, because if when you read through the emails, he takes a lot of the blame for a lot of the loose ends.
Yeah,
Like-
well, he handles, I work and run a restaurant, so he handles a lot of the financial part of it for us. He's helping us with the financing, so that's why he's taking so much responsibility in that.
Okay.
He's the one's talking to all the banks for us.
Is he going to continue working on
Yes.
financing? Okay.
Yes.
So,
The utmost respect and trust in that?
Oh, yes, I do. Very much so. He's been trying to structure us so that we can get finished and putting us in line with the, how can I say it, our silent partner, that was him, and plus the people with the 20 years experience. So he's helping us structure so that we won't fail. So it's just that we hit a lot of bad luck going down the road in this, and it's a lot harder than what people think it is.
and I think, I speak for myself, probably a lot of the board, that, you know, we want you in town. You have a great product, and you're great people. Have gotten to know you guys, and you've helped out at different events in town with the swing dance and so forth, so I really appreciate that. But I would also say that I can speak for myself. I'd be inclined to renew it for this one last time, but if we come to March 1, it's not operational, I would say it's not the end of the world for you guys, because there's other storefronts in town that you could probably
Acquire. Yes.
acquire. Yep.
I have one question for the attorney. If we do grant the final extension, are we liable financially in any way? We're not going to lose any money or commit any money? No,
The
okay.
only liability we would have is once they conform with the terms of redevelopment agreement, then we're obligated. Up to that point in time, no.
Okay, thank you.
No financial responsibility.
Thank you. I would like to make a motion then to offer a final extension to Mr. Cato as outlined by our attorney.
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
I just have one question here, reading this letter that, from Clarence that was given to us. On the second page of it, second to last paragraph in bold type, and I'd like some clarification here. The only way we can close this loan with the proposed sit-down restaurant is that the Village of Monee grants us another TIF extension until March 1st. It then goes on, let me find it here, farther down, saying that incentives that they need the Village of Monee to facilitate to cover rental expenses.
If you have any incentives to help us out, that's all he's
Okay.
asking. If you don't, you don't.
Okay.
If there's
Making
an
sure that you weren't asking us to cover your rent.
No.
Okay.
But if there's some type of incentive that we can go about, or a route we can, that the village can help us with, yes. But no, not to cover our rent, no.
Any other discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Razak?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
March 1.
All right, thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to our video gaming request from Mike Comas. Michael?
Comis. Mike Camise,
Thank you, I got it the second
26212
time.
Plumtree.
It's 3 strikes, you're out. I only had 2.
It's all right. You're all right, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I'm a current owner of Pete Mitchell's Bar and Grill in Frankfurt. We're established out there probably about 6, 7 years that I've been part of it. It's been there for 10 years. If I could, I'd just kind of send you guys kind of
Sure.
product we got. So we've been out in Monee for over 20 years, and we've seen the town from when we came out here to where it's building up and everything. And we noticed that the product that I want to bring here is a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner bar and grill, full functioning bar. I've talked with the owner of the building over there. I'm looking to lease the building for a few years with an option to buy. I'm willing to put my money into it. Some of my plans is to the north of the building, they have a red fence there. We'd like to put up a wrought iron fence there and have a nice outdoor patio for lunch or bags or, any kind of commiserating just out there, We talked about, my ideas was to put a door that's inside Maryland's that would lead straight out to the patio so you don't have to go out front in traffic. Would it be gated? It will open up with no problem. We're also looking at, and it's an eyesore coming into town. Monee's building up. This is on a main drag right here. There's people coming out here to look at homes for sale or whatever. They see that. It's not a good look. If it's up and operational, they'd be like, hey, look at this place, especially right there on that corner. And like it says, I'm looking to lease it, possibly buy it. Looking to put some money in it. Financials are not a problem at all. I'm close to signing the lease, but the only option that is the big hang-up on it is the video gaming. Without the video gaming, it would make no sense for me to open up here in Monee. It's a huge part of building a successful business. Like I said, the building where I'm at now in Frankfurt, there is no video gaming. And we've been there almost 10 years, and we're maintaining, we're making it. But we're at a disadvantage from across the street, Will County, which is Frankfurt, but it's unincorporated. They all have video gaming. I have people coming in that want to eat my food, and then they leave to go play the video gaming. And that's the mayor of Frankfurt that just doesn't want that. And he's the boss, so that's no problem. But all the surrounding communities all have the video gaming. You guys have the video gaming. But it's been made to my attention that you guys have an amendment to where you have to be in business for 1 year in order to receive these machines. That's a deal breaker for me. I cannot wait. Plus, I've also found out that the other places that do have the video gaming, it could go a year and you still may not have that license. So I'm not willing to invest my money, my time, to build a restaurant here with great food at a blue-collar price. And, we're well known for our food, large products. And I would like to see if you guys could maybe amend something to give me a break to come in here and open up a nice restaurant. Serve breakfast, and whatever the closing time is, 2 o'clock in the morning or 1, whatever that, we'll abide by that. So I'm asking for that.
Mr. Comey, can you relate to the board the type of venue you propose to open?
It's going to be a sports bar, multi-TVs, probably 18 TVs, large screen TVs. My place in Frankfurt, we're a Big Ten bar. We have flags hanging in there. It's all pro sports, any kind of sports. We'll have the Red Zone channel on. You can watch any game you want to watch. We're going to have all that. Every seating that will be in there will be all high tap tables. Like I said, the bar would probably be about 20 feet long with an adjacent door going out to the north side of the building. A full line of cook, and it's just sports themed. It's a blue collar bar. Blue collar prices. And you can go in there and get a $2.50 pint glass of beer every day. Or we're going to have some craft beers in there. And, the Trulies and the White Claws that are flying off the shelves for everyone, we'll have plenty of them, But I'm at your mercy. If you guys can talk it over or whatever and see if you can amend that for me, it would help me with me investing my money the first year or two of a new business. You put your money in to make the money later. Them machines would compensate for whatever losses that I would have so I can get the word out, so I can get the people in there to try my food, to see what we got going on in there, and it would help me, get it off the ground. That's all I have. If you have any questions, I'm willing to answer.
Mike, you said breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yes, ma'am.
How does that figure into a Big Ten, Trulies and White Claws and craft beers?
Well, I'm trying to bring a good breakfast here at 6 in the morning. The machines are open till 1 o'clock, I believe, or 2 o'clock in the morning, and then they reopen them at 6 o'clock in the morning. There's a lot of breakfast places in Frankfurt that do it. What that is going to do is allow me to have a breakfast. I mean, I talked with Mr. Pop about it, and he said, well, how about serving breakfast? Because I have very good food, my lunch and my dinner food. And I says, yeah, I'd be interested in doing breakfast, no problem. You know, I could put out $7, $8 breakfast all day long, just like Denny's does. But mine would be all fresh food. All my meat comes from Taylor Street down in Chicago. I have my lunch menu, which you're looking at, and dinner menu is right there. We have not even revised a breakfast menu. We have not even proceeded of going any further until I can get the blessing of Monee to say, hey, you know, that might be something we might be interested in. Let us talk among ourselves. You know, let's see what that's something you want.
So the other thing that I will say too, you've been here over 20 years, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So the other thing that we do have besides gaming in this town, we've got bars.
Okay.
And so I would like to see my preference, and for what my family, I believe that our town would need, would be a breakfast, lunch, and dinner place before a bar and gaming place.
Okay.
So how can, what you want to propose, and why is it a deal breaker of the video gaming? How much do you think that you can make, or why you wouldn't be able to make it on a breakfast, lunch, and dinner family place?
It's not the point that I don't have confidence in myself to make it, but it would make it a lot easier on myself with video gaming. All these communities that are around us, they're not going into Frankfurt opening up businesses because of the video gaming. It doesn't make sense when you go to Orland Park, which just passed it on the trustee vote. I think it was 4-3 with the mayor backing. If Frankfurt doesn't have it, businesses struggle. Now, you're saying that you don't need another bar here, and I respect that. That's fine, because I know you have Brian's Place, you have Straight Home Bar, and I can't remember. Oh, you got the Village, is that what it's called? Yes. This is it's more of a restaurant bar than it is a bar.
I would like to see a breakfast, lunch, and dinner place before a bar.
So you, I respect your opinion, I really do.
I have a question for you,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Camise. Should you be granted the whatever it is you're asking for, what kind of alterations would you need to make to the property you're leasing in order to move into it? And would you be covering that cost?
Well, I have not proceeded because the deal breaker would be me not allowing me to have the gaming machines.
Right.
But if I had your approval, then this is the one right here that owns a building that I'm, you know, looking to lease. And we've discussed what I want to do with it, but we have not ironed out everything. If this was approved, we'd probably have this ironed out in probably 2 weeks.
So do you, I don't really understand when you lease something, if you'd still do inspections on it, you'd still have to meet code. Would that all be the case? Yeah. So I'm just wondering if there was work to be done on the building, and I've never been in the building since it was empty, but if there was work to be done on it, who would foot that cost?
We will work that out between me and my leasing.
So you don't know yet how much of that cost would be your burden?
Well, I've got an idea in my mind what I need to put into that, you know, total cost to have where I need to be with it. But we haven't proceeded to that because it would be a waste of our time even talking about it if I am not getting approved by you guys.
And I understand that, but it just...
It's like putting up, the carriage in front of the horse.
It just, if I was buying it or leasing it, I would want to know how much money I would need to put into it in order to bring it to where I want it to be. Should I get the gaming license? Because it may be way more than you expected.
Well, I'm a business person, and if I had to throw a figure out at you, I would say probably have to put at least $20,000 in it, 15, 20,000.
Okay, and I appreciate you sharing that. I wasn't asking for a number. I just wanted to see if you were ready to spend, like the gentleman you heard right before you, he leased a property, he didn't expect it to cost all of that, and that's all but sunk his business over there. So I just wondered if that is something you'd thought through.
We don't need no financing.
Okay, all right, thank you.
One last thing, the improvements you just said that you were going to make to that existing building and bringing it up to code, is there not ADA things that need to be compliant within that building, which you at least them too?
I talked to Mr. Wallace. When I went to look at the building, we went through it. No structure things can be moved in it. The only thing I had asked him was for an outdoor door going out to the north patio that I'd like to build. If you're the north, like if you walk in, it would be to your right. I wanted a door to go out to the patio that I would like to build out there. And it's also a kind of a fire issue because there's only really one door in for the customers that come in and one door out. If there's a fire, boy, that's going to be ugly. So I would have another door to go out. And there was one wall that they had up that was to cover the gaming machines that were in there for a little privacy room, but that's not a structural wall or anything, it's not holding anything up. So them, the only two things I asked to do was put a door in and take that little wall down. And then that, I don't know if you've been in there, but they used where the old bar was.
Right.
We're gonna completely gut that, and I was gonna make that into like we have a room where we set birthday parties and everyone, people coming for a private event, and we would hold that back there for them and cater our own food there.
And then the wrought iron fence and everything, you want to do everything all at the same time? Do you have drawings of kind of what your dream wanted to look like?
No, I would do everything in my head. I mean, it's kind of the way we have it over at Pete Mitchell's right now. If you
And
rode
would
by,
it be Pete Mitchell's here too?
it would be Pete Mitchell's too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been in Pete Mitchell's. I used to go in there several years ago, but
Okay.
just for anybody else that hasn't, I personally equate it to kind of going into like a Buffalo Wild Wings type of atmosphere. Yeah.
That's what it is. Yep.
I have to say, though, I do agree with Trustee Gonzalez that I don't think we need another bar. I've never been into your bar, and I'm sure it's very nice, but we've got enough bars. I don't believe we need another bar. I don't think we should go back on our gaming ordinance because we spent a lot of time thinking that through and putting different options together, and we voted not to move forward with it. So if it was a grocery store or it was fresh produce or even a library, I'd be all over it. But or if it was just a restaurant, if it was just a family restaurant, that would be awesome. And that's just my opinion.
I
so,
totally
yeah.
respect it. I do.
Trustee Blue, we don't always agree, but I would say you said it very well. And Heidi, you did as well.
What's that? Yeah. I know. I'm going to say something.
I know you've been here a long time. I respect everything that you've done in the scene at Pete Mitchell's.
I will. I was going to.
Still coming to know you with a new model for what things can do.
Okay, thank you. Second.
I just wanted to say that we have an empty building that we could have, consider it a retail development, if you would, whatever. There'll be tax money coming in from it. It's sitting there idle. We have a gentleman that is very experienced in this. The owner of the building, and you may not think this carries weight, but I do. Jim Ravel owns the building. Jim was one of the first businesses that came in this community, and I believe the permit was $25, Jim, for your dealership. That's how long ago he started here. Jim owns the building. He owns a building just north of that. He owns the motorcycle shop. He owns the Polaris. He's still very active in the community. He had a nice restaurant there before. This gentleman wants to put in something that I think is even nicer than what was there. Jim, I got to ask you, is there anything you wish to say?
Probably.
Good.
Well, anyway, for the record, my name is James Reveliotis. I go by Jim Ravel, just for simplicity purposes. I know Mike's place, actually. It's right down the street from my store in Manson, and I do happen to go in there after work for a few drinks. And I have to say, his place is always clean. You can tell the people that are in there are regulars. He's got great food. And I totally understand about the bar situation. But here's a man who has the experience, who has the ability, and the know-how to actually do a great job re-resurrecting the restaurant. And what he does with it, I know for a fact, I'm totally confident that he's going to do a great job. And that's coming from the heart. Because again, would I love nothing more than just to sell the place and completely unload it? Absolutely. That'd be the easiest thing for me. But I'm giving this man an opportunity to come back to his roots and give him a chance to, I don't know, open something up and see where it goes. And let's say, for example, his restaurant does well, the breakfast does well, maybe it'll maybe veer towards that direction. We don't know. But I understand as a business person, truly understand the expense that it takes to open up a restaurant, the chances and the risk you take. And I know a lot of this video gaming stuff, I've never even touched one of them, honestly, and I don't care for them. But I know on an economic standpoint, it does help immensely to secure and stabilize a business, especially the investment he's willing to make. And he's not coming to the board and saying, hey, look, you know what, give me some money for me to do this. I'm not asking you to do anything. He's willing to take this burden on himself. So I got to pat him on the back for that. Because again, I haven't had many people coming up to me. We had, I guess, a couple that were here. We don't know what happened. Anyway, they ended up going south on us. No one has come to my door. As you can see, I have it listed with an agent. I haven't had any players. I haven't had anybody come over and ask me about it. And I'm willing to work with anybody to reopen that restaurant. Because again, I don't even like looking at it myself, to be honest with you. I drive through here every time that I go to Cedar Lake. I look at it and I go, oh my God, what a shame. And believe me when I tell you, when we had the restaurant open back in the 90s and early 2000s, I loved it. I believe you were there, yes. I remember seeing, I'm like, I know her. So anyway, it's a lot of fun. I mean, again, his place is like a B-dubs, okay? It's more of an upscale kind of place. It's not what you think, and I understand, I respect that. But again, I don't want to take up too much time, but I just know that he's going to do a great job for you. I mean, if you have any questions, I would love to answer them for you.
Okay.
No, you're very welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
I believe, Trustee Racick, all you want to do is make a presentation.
Okay.
But there's no action tonight. I don't believe it's.
Mr. Attorney, I would believe that at the minimum, the presenter is asking for some direction, a consensus, yes or no. They need to proceed with some discussions amongst themselves.
Yeah, just a little guidance on, is this going anywhere or isn't, am I gonna go somewhere else? Just kind of give me a feel of what we're looking at, and him a feel, because like I said, he's got the building, I'm looking to do it, so we've got two people hanging in the air here, not knowing what, what's going on, so. If you could take a vote tonight and give me my fate now, that would be great.
Well, we would need a consensus.
We know why you came tonight, Mike. The urgency to get this settled, if you could,
Right.
and that's why it's in front of you tonight, okay? That's all I have to say about that, but.
You want to take a. Pardon me?
Consensus to amend, no, the consensus.
That's fine. Whatever ordinance, yeah, that's fine.
We need a consensus to see if we're.
If you want to help the gentleman by giving him some guidance, you can authorize myself, if you deem appropriate, to amend that ordinance that we passed roughly, 3 or 4 months ago. That would give this gentleman some ideas, how do we feel? Because if you vote no against authorizing myself, it basically tells this gentleman, how the board feels. And that ordinance was, I believe, in June or July.
Yep.
If you don't give me the authority, then we know where we stand.
Attorney, so exactly how would that be handled? It's not repealing the ordinance. There would still be the legislation there to have the requirements in place.
Yep.
It'd
be basically, an analogy would be like a special use permit for this one company. That ordinance will still be in effect for someone else comes in a year from now. It's close to like a special use permit that we are helping this gentleman out with respect to his request, but that ordinance will still be in full force and effect for future applicants.
Gotcha, very good.
Would that open us up for liability issues for if, in the future, then, if we did, hypothetically speaking, say that we did allow the special use permit, and then in the future deny the next one, and what would be the ramifications of that action?
That's a good question. They might indicate you set a precedent, but I believe in this situation, there was a liquor license for, was it Maryland's? So I think in that situation, we have a strong argument. If someone wanted to assert that, pardon me? Yeah, I'm sorry, and they had the video poker back then. So could someone come in? Chances that, I don't think there's too many other vacant restaurants like this. This gentleman, or Mr. Revels, other than that, I think that's it. Could someone say you set a precedent? You can always argue that, but I think we'd have a strong argument against it, given the fact that Maryland did have the liquor license and slots for over 10 years. I was going to say a couple, so 10 years will do it, right? So
I'd like to make a motion to have the attorney amend the ordinance for the next board meeting.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? If
The only
not-
thing I just real quickly want to say, because I disagree, I don't see this as a bar. I see this as a restaurant that does serve alcohol. I've been in his other place. I don't get the feeling that I'm sitting in a bar. I get the feeling I'm sitting in B-dubs. And to me, that's a restaurant, and that's just my feeling on that.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, with respect, the gentleman described it as a sports bar with all those TVs and craft beers and this and that. I mean, that's
And
not our
serving
description.
breakfast, lunch, and dinner like a
It's a
restaurant.
sports bar. That's what the description was. So I think pretending it's not a bar because it serves breakfast, lunch, and dinner is a bit, it's stretching it.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Yes.
Did we get a second?
Yes.
Okay, we're in discussion, okay. I'm sorry, yes.
Just need a
we did
roll call.
second. Is there any other discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Horn.
No.
Trustee Razik.
Yes.
Trustee Wilson.
No.
Trustee Udris.
Yes.
Trustee Blue.
No.
Trustee Gonzalez.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Cleese.
Okay, we have now open to the public, non-agenda items. Please limit your comment to 3 minutes. If not, we'll move on to a motion to adjourn.
I will make that motion.
All those in favor? Roll call, please.
Trustee Razik.
Yes.
Trustee Wilson. Trustee Udris.
Yes.
Trustee Blue.
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez.
Yes.
Trustee Horn.